Your dog with you is one dog. Your dog with your partner is a slightly different dog. Your dog with your kid is a third dog entirely. And if there is anyone else in the household, there are at least that many additional versions of your dog, each calibrated to the specific person they are interacting with in ways that are more deliberate and sophisticated than most people ever realize. Welcome to Hidden Paw Signals. Today, we are going into the multi-person household dog behavior situation. Why your dog is not the same dog with different people, what they are responding to, and what it reveals about just how socially sophisticated your dog actually is. Subscribe now, because this one gets into social cognition, learning history, and the remarkable degree to which dogs individualize their behavior based on who they are interacting with. The foundational principle here is something researchers call individual recognition and individual-specific behavioral adjustment, which is documented in the canine cognition literature, including studies published in Applied Animal Behavior Science on social learning and individual recognition in domestic dogs. Dogs do not have a single behavioral program that they run with all humans indiscriminately. They develop distinct behavioral histories and associated expectations for each specific individual they interact with regularly, and those histories shape how they behave in the presence of each person. The person who plays vigorously with the dog produces a dog who is vigorous and playful in their presence. The person who sits quietly and pets calmly produces a dog who is calm and affectionate in their presence. The person who has inadvertently reinforced jumping by responding to it produces a dog who jumps on that person. The person who has never allowed or responded to jumping produces a dog who does not jump on them. The dog is not being inconsistent. The dog is being precisely consistent with what each individual relationship has trained them to do. Your dog does this too, right? Is there a specific person in your household who gets the most animated, excited version of your dog? Drop in the comments what the range looks like in your house, because multi-dog version households are fascinating. The learning history dimension is the most immediately practical to understand, because it means that each person's experience with the dog is the direct product of how that specific person has interacted with the dog. If one person in your household thinks your dog jumps up because they are happy and tolerates or encourages it, that person will be the one the dog jumps on. If another person has consistently redirected the jumping to a different greeting behavior, that person gets the different greeting. This is not the dog preferring one person over the other in an evaluative sense. This is the dog's learning system accurately tracking that different behaviors produce different outcomes with different individuals and adjusting accordingly. The tracking accuracy is what should impress you. Your dog is maintaining separate behavioral models for multiple individuals simultaneously, updating each based on ongoing interaction experience and applying the correct model reliably each time. This requires genuine social cognitive sophistication. Beyond learned behavioral adjustment, dogs also respond differently to people based on the real-time sensory information those people are presenting in any given interaction. The energy level, emotional state, movement speed, voice quality, and scent profile of each person differs from moment to moment and person to person, and your dog is processing all of it in real time and adjusting their behavior accordingly. A person who is stressed and moving quickly produces a different dog response than the same person who is calm and moving slowly. A person who is excited and generating high positive arousal produces a different dog than the same person in a quiet mood. The dog is not switching between different behavioral presets. The dog is continuously updating their response based on the live sensory data the current person is presenting. There is also an attachment dimension that explains some of the most noticeable differences between how dogs behave with different family members. Research on differential attachment in dogs living in multi-person households consistently finds that dogs form primary and secondary attachments with different strengths to different household members, and that the strength of attachment measurably influences the quality and intensity of interaction behaviors directed at each person. The person with the strongest attachment tends to get the most proximity seeking, the most eye contact, the most consistent checking-in behavior. Other household members get their own version, calibrated to the attachment level that has developed through the specific history of their individual relationship with the dog. Understanding all of this has a practical dimension. If you want a different version of the dog with a specific person, the path there goes through changing the interaction history with that person. The dog they are getting is the dog that their specific interactions have trained. Different interactions produce a different dog over time. The most accurate way to predict what version of the dog someone gets is to look at what their interactions with the dog have consistently consisted of. There is a particularly interesting finding from research on dog-human interaction in multi-person households that most owners find very validating once they hear it. The person in a household who spends the most time in quiet, low-demand proximity to the dog, simply being present without asking for anything, often develops a stronger secondary attachment bond with the dog than the person who provides more active care but with higher demand. Dogs appear to weight time spent in comfortable, non-demanding presence highly when calibrating their attachment responses. The family member who sits quietly reading with the dog on the couch for 2 hours has built something meaningful in that dog's social architecture, even if they are not the one who feeds, walks, or formally trains. This has a practical dimension for households where one person is concerned that the dog does not seem as bonded to them as to other household members. The most effective path toward a stronger bond is not more commands, more treats, more formal training. It is more quiet time in comfortable proximity. Sit with the dog. Let them choose to be near you without being summoned. Let interactions initiate from the dog's side at least some of the time. This is the behavioral input that most reliably produces the attachment response the person is looking for. Research on social learning and individual recognition in dogs also reveals something worth appreciating about what your dog's differentiated behavior across household members says about their cognitive capacity. Maintaining accurate, individual-specific behavioral models from multiple people simultaneously, updating each based on ongoing interaction, and applying the correct model reliably to the correct person requires genuine memory, categorization, and social cognitive capacity. Your dog is not running a single generic human interaction program. They are running multiple individual relationship programs simultaneously, each one built and maintained through direct experience with a specific person. That is not a simple system. That is a socially sophisticated animal managing a complex social environment correctly. The final thing worth taking from all of this is perhaps the most empowering. Your relationship with your dog is not fixed or determined by some initial bonding event or some inherent compatibility. It is a living thing, built from the accumulation of interactions, updated continuously by experience, and responsive to what you actually do in the day-to-day of your shared life. If you want more of a certain version of your dog, the path there is through the kind of interactions that produce that version. More play produces the playful dog. More quiet time produces the settled, comfortable dog. More patient, responsive engagement with their communications produces a dog who communicates more and escalates less. The different dog with different people phenomenon is actually good news because it means the relationship you want with your dog is entirely within your reach to build, one interaction at a time. There is one more dimension of this behavior that connects to something owners sometimes find emotionally complicated: the question of whether the dog loves everyone in the household equally. The research on differential attachment in dogs is pretty clear that dogs do form stronger primary attachments with some individuals than with others, and that the strongest attachment is not always with the person who does the most caregiving in a functional sense. This can feel unfair or even hurtful if you are the one who feeds, walks, and cares for the dog, but they still run to someone else first when they are distressed. Understanding that the attachment hierarchy is built from the quality and type of interaction, not the volume of caregiving, is important context. The person who provides calm, low-demand presence, who lets the dog initiate interactions, who sits quietly with the dog and follows the dog's social lead, is building attachment currency in ways that a person focused primarily on tasks and functional caregiving may not be. The dog who runs to your partner first does not love you less. They have simply accumulated the kind of interaction that built primary attachment, and that is changeable with the right investment. And just so you know where this is grounded, the research on individual recognition and differential attachment in dogs that I am referencing comes from peer-reviewed studies in Applied Animal Behavior Science and the Journal of Veterinary Behavior. Those are my sources for everything I share with you. Just a quick note before you go. Everything I share on this channel comes from my own research and learning journey. I am not a vet, I am not a scientist, and I am definitely not a certified dog behaviorist. This is just one person going way deep into dog psychology and sharing what they found. So, please, if your dog is showing any serious, sudden, or unusual symptoms, do not diagnose it with YouTube. Go see your actual vet. They went to school for this. I watched videos about it. Those are different things. And as always, this video was produced with the help of artificial intelligence. Thanks for watching Hidden Paw Signals. See you in the next one.